All right, before we get started, link to the channel on Rumble's in the description below. If you want to support the channel on Rumble, please feel free to do so. Now, just to be clear, I am not abandoning YouTube. YouTube will always be my primary focus. I'm just trying to expand the reach of the channel, trying to give Rumble a chance. I figured Rumble might actually promote me if I did everything I could to increase viewership over there. So, links in the description below if you want to support the channel on Rumble. All right. Gather round, kids. It's story time with Uncle KC. Back in the golden age of the 90s and 2000s, there used to be a classic program called The Daily Show. It aired on Comedy Central. It was a comedic spoof of serious cable news shows like The O'Reilly Factor on Fox News or Countdown to Eternal Loneliness with Keith the Olbermann on MSNBC. The Daily Show, it was hosted by a man named Jon Stewart. During his 16-year run, Jon Stewart was comedically brilliant. He was able to deliver serious news stories to a younger demographic in a way that kept us both entertained and informed. The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, it was a massive success. It was recognized with plenty of meaningless awards. It competed with late night shows hosted by legends like Jay Leno and David Letterman for over a decade. Jon Stewart was drawing 2 million viewers every night on Comedy Central. Fast forward to 2015, and the unthinkable happens. On the precipice of the most important presidential election in our lifetime, with the country facing the traumatic possibility of electing its first orange president. In the midst of those harrowing times, Jon Stewart just decided to retire. He walked away from The Daily Show. He walked away from millions of dollars, but that's okay. That's okay. Executives at Comedy Central, they had a plan. They looked at the landscape of late night television. They noticed a serious problem. At the time, Jay Leno and David Letterman, they were also retiring, and they were being replaced by white men. Comedy Central, they decided to go in a new direction. They traveled to a land that no network who wants to maintain their audience had traveled to before. Instead of hiring a replacement for Jon Stewart based on merit and qualifications, Comedy Central, they based their hiring standards around the theory of diversity, equity, and inclusion. They gave the job to an unknown comedian at the time named Trevor Noah. Well, KC, don't you mean Trevor Noah? No, I mean Travis. This decision was met with immediate outrage after virgins dug through the past of Trevor Noah and discovered racist and misogynistic tweets. But Comedy Central, they didn't care about those indiscretions. No. Travis was allowed to get away with this, and rightfully so, because he checked enough woke boxes. Executives simply wrote this off as Travis being young, and he was at the time. The transition from Johnny to Travis, it started off smoothly. First season of The Daily Show with Trevor Noah averaged a healthy 1.1 million viewers. Now sure, it was a decline from Jon Stewart, but Comedy Central, they were pleased with the ratings. But over the next few years, Travis successfully transitioned the program from The Daily Show to The Daily Show a failure. By August of 2022, Travis had ratings down to a cool 383,000 viewers. Now I'm not an expert in math, but that looks like a 65% decline in the ratings. As the Titanic was sinking, Travis stumbled upon his first success. He managed to find an inflated lifeboat and jumped off the Titanic. December of 2022, Trevor Noah quits The Daily Show a failure, claiming that he wanted to pursue other opportunities. What were these other opportunities? Here we are over a year later, and we still don't know. My inside sources tell me Travis was tired of being a huge embarrassing failure, so he decided to jump off the sinking ship that he was responsible for sinking. Since Travis dove headfirst off the Titanic in December of 2022, Comedy Central, they have went with a rotating panel of huge embarrassing failures to host The Daily Show. Legends in comedy like DeSeuss Nice, Leslie Jones, and Charlemagne the Fraud? Who and who? Who is DeSeuss Nice? I do like Charlemagne, even though I don't always agree with him politically. Charlemagne at least he seems willing to consider logic and reason, but he has a long track record of failure when it comes to television. Very, very successful in radio, very successful with podcasting, but that success just hasn't translated to mainstream television. Over the last 3 months, ratings for The Daily Show a failure. They have broken the record lows set by Trevor Noah. Before they went on temporary hiatus in December, which most people were hoping would be permanent, the show was hosted by some doofus named Carl Penn. Like the other 99.9% of the American population, I had never heard of Carl Penn, so I had to look him up. He started his career as a White House staffer in the Obama administration. What the hell does that have to do with comedy? The week hosted by Cal Penn averaged an abysmal 277,000 viewers. You would have to combine his entire week of shows to equal one episode hosted by Jon Stewart. It has been over a year since Trevor Noah abandoned this polished turd, and Comedy Central, they have not been able to find anyone willing to host this dump on a permanent basis. But that's okay. That's okay. All this time, there has been a savior waiting for this exact opportunity. There has been a hero waiting in the wings. I can be your hero, baby. Recently, this man has been synonymous with failure. A couple of months ago, his show on Apple TV was canceled. Well, Casey, what was the reason? I can't remember. Probably had to do with the fact that most people didn't even realize he had a show on Apple TV. Yesterday, Comedy Central enthusiastically announced that Jon Stewart would be returning to The Daily Show. Immediately, there was a celebration of rainbows and cucumbers. Celebrate the butt bongo! We put the H in preparation. I guess Jon Stewart felt guilty for abandoning the country in our time of need back in 2015. With the upcoming election being the most important election in our lifetime for the 47th time since 1776, Jon Stewart decided that he was going to serve his country by providing heavily biased coverage. Comedy Central's hoping Jon Stewart can revive this rotting corpse known as The Daily Show. They have come up with a brilliant strategy. Jon Stewart, he's going to host The Daily Show every Monday until the election is decided or protested against, whichever happens first. And the network, they will continue with a rotating panel of huge embarrassing failures the rest of the week, hoping they will be able to maintain the momentum that Jon Stewart creates on Monday. Jon Stewart, he will start his new old job next month. Let me go ahead and spoil the results for you. This will end in huge embarrassing failure. I like Jon Stewart. I was a consistent viewer of The Daily Show when he was in his prime, but this is not going to work. Expectations are going to be high and impossible to meet. First of all, this is not 2008. This is not 2012. It is incredibly difficult, damn near impossible, to recreate the magic. Once you step away for 9 years, the magic is gone. Typically, Comedy Central caters to a younger demographic, or at least they used to. To be honest with you, I don't know who watches Comedy Central in the year of our Lord 2024. Last I checked, no one watches this dump. Jon Stewart is in his early 60s. He's not the same guy that he was in the early 2000s. When men get older, they are less likely to take risks. They are less likely to be willing to push the boundaries of decency, both of which are critical to comedy. Problem is, even if Jon Stewart is willing to do that, he's not going to be allowed to. Let me show you something. This is an example of Jon Stewart 15 or 20 years ago. Watch it for yourself.
I give you Ohio Representative Dennis Kucinich.
I would nominate any gay to the Supreme Court, or lesbian or bisexual or transgendered person to the Supreme Court.
Yes, yes. All rise for the Honorable Justice Chick with Dick.
Comedy Central wouldn't allow that joke today. Hell, if I remember correctly, Jon Stewart recently apologized for making that joke 20 years after the fact. A 62-year-old Jon Stewart, he wouldn't make that joke today. You know what made The Daily Show so special? It was different. More importantly, Jon Stewart was given the creative freedom to make it different. I'd be willing to bet The Daily Show a failure with Jon Stewart, it's going to be the same as the other garbage that we see in late night television. It'll be the same as Jamie Fallon, Steph Colbert, and the insufferable Jim Kimmel. He will have to abide by the woke commandments. He will be limited on who he can make fun of. In 2024, there's only two groups that you can make fun of: white men and orange men. Orange man bad. It's going to be endless recycled jokes about the Trumper. I'll give you a little preview of what's to come. This is an example of what Comedy Central considers to be acceptable comedy. Watch it for yourself.
There's been a ridiculous debate about whether America is a racist country. Absolutely absurd, liberals. Would a racist country have a Black History Month? Well, I've been watching Fox News for 358 hours straight, and I'm ready to do some Foxplain. Show me in the history books where America has been racist. Okay, not the first 98% of the book, but the end of the book, near the glossary. I'll tell you what's racist. How come there's never been a white woman on the cover of Oprah's magazine? How can America be racist if it was the liberals who fired a hardworking Black woman from her job as a syrup bottle?
Is it any wonder why ratings have dropped 65%? Is it any wonder why Comedy Central has never been less relevant? Viewers have rated The Daily Show over 3,500 times on IMDb. According to viewer reviews, Daily Show was given 2 out of 5 stars. Now, that rating is comparable to the Yentas on The View. I like Jon Stewart. I really do. I don't always agree with him politically, but Jon Stewart seems reasonable. I don't consider him a shit fuck. I don't consider him to be a radical. I can disagree with Jon Stewart politically, but still think he's a great comedian. The problem with his show on Apple TV, there really wasn't much comedic about it. At times, it seemed like Jon Stewart was trying to be a serious journalist. That's just not who he is. There's an old saying: you can't go back. Like I said earlier, it is damn near impossible to recreate the magic. Jon Stewart has changed. Comedy Central has changed. When people tune into this new and improved Daily Show, they are going to expect what they saw 10 years ago. That's just not going to happen. Well, KC, Jay Leno left The Tonight Show and he came back as a huge success. No, Jay Leno never left The Tonight Show. NBC just moved it up an hour, hour and a half, and fucked Conan O'Brien in the process. 6 or 7 months later, they moved Jay Leno back to his old time slot and pretended like nothing ever happened. Jon Stewart's been gone for almost 10 years now. His show on Apple TV ended in failure. And I have a feeling it's going to be the same result on Comedy Central. But give me your thoughts on this. Jon Stewart returns to The Daily Show. I'm predicting failure. I think curiosity will help him pop decent ratings in the beginning, but after a few weeks, I think it's going to be a struggle. That being said, I doubt Jon Stewart's going to have a problem increasing the ratings. It's not going to be difficult to double the 250,000 viewers that Comedy Central's pulling right now. But I don't see him coming anywhere close to matching his prior success. What about you? Is this a good move by Jon Stewart? Is this a good move by Comedy Central? Can Jon Stewart save The Daily Show? You let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. I appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.